Welcome to our program on Kardec Radio.
Good evening, my friends. This is Angy Stewart from InnerLight, and we are here live on Thursday, 9 p.m. in Kardec Radio. So it's a pleasure to be here. Kardec Radio always helping us and always spreading so many beautiful teachings, so many beautiful books. So I hope you are taking advantage of this wonderful opportunity. Let me just do one little thing that I always forget. I'm sorry. I have to actually turn on the radio. We are via Facebook right now. We are also via YouTube on Kardec Radio, on InnerLight, but we also have our friends that are actually on the radio. So very good. We are connected. So awesome. Another Thursday night, we have our study. So just to remind you all, this is the book that we study for around 40 minutes, The Gospel According to Spiritism. And we also have this other beautiful book, What is Spiritism? This book is actually much thinner, and it is a book that is not well known about with the Spiritist community. So it's really a powerful book. It's a very concise, and the items there are really important to all of us, to the ones that don't know much about Spiritism, but also to the ones that I already know, but I can always improve and get more knowledge. So we can talk about Spiritism with more property. So very good. Hi, Yvonne. Nice to have you with us. Yvonne is also a member of InnerLight. She's always in our Tuesday classes. Really, really good to have you with us. So just to start, I want to remind you all to have your water bottle so you can have your medication there. We are in times of COVID. You all know that I had COVID. I'm feeling better now. So we all need our extra medication. So let's just try to close our eyes because we're in front of a computer. And let's do a quick prayer so we can start our studies of tonight. Dear God, our Master Jesus, thank you so much for another opportunity to continue study, to continue improving, and to continue spreading this beautiful philosophy of life in this English language. Thank you so much for all the inspiration that we are sure we will be receiving. We also ask for help to our friends who will be listening to us right now or later on when it's recorded, so everybody can understand and most of all put in practice these beautiful teachings. Thank you. So be it. Very good, my friends. So I will invite our two guests of tonight. So first, I have Luis. How are you, Luis?
Hey, Angie. How are you? Thanks so much for inviting me. And it's such a pleasure, such an honor to be here with you to learn. Right? When we talk, we learn as well.
Exactly. It's so good. And you know, Luis also have a great program here on Kardec Radio. Luis, which day and what time is your program?
Yeah, it's called the Spiritism, A Closer Look. It's on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern.
Very good. We have to spread this good knowledge everywhere.
That's true.
Thank you, Luis. And now we have Kellen. Hello, Kellen. How are you?
Hi, Angie. How are you? Hi, Luis.
Hi, hello.
Thank you for having me.
Very good. Super happy to have you here. Friends, you don't know, but Kellen is my good friend when I was still in Inner Enlightenment in New York. So Kellen was a member for quite some time, and now she moved to South Carolina. So how is South Carolina treating you, Kellen?
Very well. I like it here very much. I love the weather.
The weather is nice.
The weather is nice. Very mild winter.
Yes. I keep seeing New York with the snowstorms, and I'm like, oh.
I do not miss it at all.
Me too. I'm like, okay, I've done that. I've been there, but that's it.
Third my time. But I do miss my friends though, and I miss the times that we could go to the Spiritist Center and hug and see each other.
That's true.
Exactly. I miss that too. But I have to say, when I left to New York, it was very difficult for me. I was like, oh my God. And then it was funny because my son is the one who told me, I don't know why you're like this. Wherever you are, you're going to make more friends. Come on, Mom. And then I'm like,
That's true.
it's right.
That's true.
And then boom. But when it's recent, we are like, oh, I'm sure you felt like this too, Luis. You said you lived in Miami and then you went to Orlando.
Yeah, I lived in South Florida for many years. Yeah, for like 20 years, and then I moved over to Orlando. It's still the same state, but it's quite different. The dynamics are different.
Yes, definitely. But we meet people everywhere, and the beautiful thing that we have nowadays is the technology. So look at us. Luis is in Orlando. I am in Miami, and Kelly is in South Carolina. So it's beautiful that we can use this opportunity to meet and to learn and continue spreading it. Actually, the first time I saw you, Luis, I was in Conscious Living, and you came to give a lecture. And I'm like, oh, and you actually came with your wife. You guys gave the lecture kind of together. It was like, it was really...
That's good. That's good.
It was really long time ago.
Long time ago. Don't say it.
Long time ago. So let's see here before we start. So Yvonne is saying, after listening to your talk interview with Lima, I got a copy of the Water Spirit.
Oh, look at that.
This is awesome. Yvonne, you are awesome. This is very good.
Very good.
So you see, Luis, our work is already spreading the little seeds all over.
That was fast.
My friends, let's start. Let's start with the gospel. The time flies. The time always flies. So tonight, all of you that are listening to us, we are going to be talking about the whole chapter 25. The title is Seek and You Shall Find. So if you're listening to us, please, you can make your comments. You can ask questions. This is a conversation. We can always interact. And it's actually much nicer to all of us. So as always, I'm going to read a tiny little piece, and then we can start talking about the chapter. So let's go. Keep yourself, and heaven will help you. Ask, and it shall be given to you. Seek, and you shall find. Knock at the door, and it shall be open to you. For whomever asks receives, and whoever seeks finds, and it shall be open to the one who knocks at the door. And then continues. Also, who is the man among you who will give a stone to his son when he asks for bread? Or if he asks him for a fish, will give him a serpent? If therefore you, being evil as you are, know how to give good things to your children, it is even more reasonable that your Father who is in heaven will give you things to those who ask him. This is in Matthew. So this chapter is this item from the Matthew passage is beautiful because it shows us that we only need to ask. We need to ask to be able to receive. But it's important for us to understand how to ask, what to ask, when to ask. And it's also important to know that God, being a good mother and father, many times will answer no. Because good parents, they always answer, but it doesn't mean they answer yes to everything the little kids ask, and we are little kids. So starting, what can we continue talking about it?
Well, I think I think you've touched an important point, which is we want to ask for things that we think they're good to us or they're appropriate for us, and not necessarily. So a lot of times what happens is what we ask is not what we find. So there's a conflict because I'm asking for A and I'm getting B, and I go like, why? Why am I getting B if I'm asking for A? So and of course, God is perfect. So there's a reason behind everything. But a lot of us, what happens is when I get B and I'm asking for A, we rebel.
Yes.
And that's lack of understanding, of course. By the way, Emmanuel, in one of his books, he says exactly that. Revolt is synonym with incomprehension. So if you're revolting for some reason, you're not comprehending. So stop revolting. Go to comprehend first. Go to understand first. And I think it's pretty common in our society, not necessarily us spiritists, society in general, humanity. We ask for things, we want things, and the things that we want, we're not getting because we're not asking for the right thing. We're not asking for the things that are good for us. We're asking for things that will shortly satisfy us, but
yes,
that's it, nothing more.
Yes, totally true. Totally true. Kellen, do you want to complement with anything?
Yeah, I think it's also about the knocking, but you have to knock on the right door, right? Mm-hmm. You have to knock on the door where you will receive the things that will help you, right? But you also have to do your part, right? And we're gonna read a little more, and we're gonna understand that is not just about asking. We also have to do our part. So yes, we ask for health, but what are we doing to receive this health? Are we taking care of our bodies? Are we protecting ourselves? It's not just do everything that you want to have fun and enjoy your life without taking care of your health, and then turn to God and say, God, give me health, right?
Yeah.
We have to do our part too.
And it's not like, that person that is praying so hard to get a job because this person got unemployed. Is praying every day, God help me, I need to get a job, I really need, I'm desperate. But this person never created the resume or never updated it, never told the friends that he's searching for a job, never went online to search for a job. So he's almost waiting for the job to collapse on this person's head. So it's not like that. And that's exactly what Kardec always tells us. Spiritism is a rationalized faith. So we have to understand what we are doing. Isn't it, Luis? That's what you were commenting in the beginning.
Yeah, it was. And I think there's another thing that we might bring up to the table here, which is a lot of times we ask without knowing that we are asking.
Yeah.
For example, you here listening to us right now, either if you're live or if you're going to see this later on as a pre-recorded video, you in the audience, what are you doing here with us? You're looking for something, you're asking for something, you're seeking for something. So it's another way of asking, I need something. I'm going to go see this lecture, or I'm going to go see these people talking about spiritism, because you're looking for something. So in theory, you are asking for some sort of help. Like maybe on a second layer, it might not be clear because you're not saying out loud, I need help. No, but you still are. Yeah. So, it's a second layer, and it validates, the necessity that we all have to ask for help.
It is true. And another thing that you also mentioned, we have to understand, is that when the answer is no, it's not because God is angry at us. But as Kellen said, maybe, it's not the time for that, or that's not good for us. And we don't understand. We don't understand that. We think that's the good thing. And we get upset. We get rebellious. We get angry at God. I'm so good. Why are you doing this to me? In the reality, it's like a good spiritist person have to calm down, pray, and try to resonate. If it's not working, must be a reason. I have to understand why. And if I can't understand, I have to calm down and see if there is another way of going out of the situation or receiving an answer. We are human beings that wants to have everything like automatic. It's like WhatsApp. You send a WhatsApp message, and if in 2 minutes you don't get an answer, like, oh, that person doesn't like me anymore, what I'm gonna do? And it's like, oh my goodness, it's not like that.
Yeah, let me throw this in, Angie. You know, in the old belief system from until the 1700s or so, since the old times until like the 1700s, we as humanity, and we had several lives in those times, we were creationists. Like we would read the Bible and literally interpret what's written in there, where you have a God that resolves and does everything at the snap of fingers. So immediately, you know, rain, now thunder, now this, now that. So all of these little stories in the Bible, they happen because God snapped the fingers, per se. So that demonstrates that God is that God is not that God is that way, but that God that we inherit in the wrong form is very immediatist. Everything has to happen like in a snap of fingers. So we are used to that. How many lifetimes, how many incarnations didn't we have under that belief system that we need to snap our fingers, things are going to happen? So when I ask for something now, I want to snap my fingers.
Yes.
And where's the result? I've been waiting for 2 minutes. Come on. What's that? What's happening to God? What's wrong with him? Because we came, all of us, at the very best, we are on our second Spiritist incarnation. That's it.
Yeah.
At the very best. So we come from a belief system that is very snap-fingered style. And we want everything to be at the snap of our finger.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Kelly, how can we stop this process that Louis just mentioned? Snap the finger. It has to be done right now, right now, right now. It's like we are almost like these new teenagers, you know, that they only have patience to watch a bunch of 1 minute videos. If it's 3 minutes, like, no, too long.
I think
how can we improve this as a population? Actually, the world can improve.
I think first we have to stop and understand that God doesn't work for us. And
that's a good one.
Yeah.
He's not our employee.
No. And it comes from a very entitled place, right? To think that God works for us. We are one in billions of humans in just this planet. Just this planet, right? Imagine all the galaxies and universes that God created. He or she or it is busy, right? It knows it all. It's like, it's fine. Everything is under control. But as I tell my children, right? Gotta be patient. You know, I don't work for you.
Yeah, that's true. And I think there's maybe something else that we can add to this, which is every time we ask for something, we can make a choice. We can ask in one of the two following ways. We can ask as a person or as an immortal spirit. Mm-hmm. And the outcome is not the same.
Yes.
I can ask as a person whose life is going to end in a few decades, in a few years, and that's it. Or I can ask as an immortal spirit. And we need to understand that. Us spiritists, for the most part, we understand that. It's still hard to make it happen, to live by that. Yes. But we know that's a beginning, right? So I just don't want anything for the next, let's say, 3 or 5 years that's going to get me in trouble maybe 2 lives down the road.
Exactly.
Because I'm going to have to step on somebody's toes and it's going to come back to me next life or next 3 lives or so. It's going to be a nightmare. So that, what we ask for needs to be asked as an immortal spirit.
That's very good, Louis. And it also makes us to think, because Many times people say, oh, but if I do that, nobody will discover. Well, maybe in our society they will not discover, but you can't hide from God. So as you said, maybe we will have to pay for this crime in the next life, or maybe in many lives. So we have always to be careful with the consequences of our acts, and we have always to think, would I like this to happen to me? This always make people change their mind. Oh no, not to me. So think about. So we have it here, Yvonne mentioning, sometimes your request is answered, but not in the form you expect. And if you are not paying attention, you might not recognize that your question was answered. Yes, Yvonne. Yes. Totally true. Totally true.
We can ask her, are we recognizing the treasures along the way? Yes
Exactly.
or no, right?
Exactly. Hello, Claudia. Nice to have you here with us. So totally true. This is really, really good. Really, really good. My friends, if you are listening, if you want to ask questions or post comments, I don't see Facebook or I don't see YouTube. So if you want, just write down and we can read. So what else can we talk? Let me see our time. Okay, we still have 20 minutes. So what else can we talk? Let me see here a good portion that I see here. So what about the observe the birds in the sky? What does this message means? Like the little portion, for example, create treasures in heaven where neither rust nor worms corrupt. For wherever your treasure is, there is also your heart. I think you guys are talking right there, right there.
I think that's what Louis was touching, right? That you have to ask as an immortal spirit, because when we do things to grow our spirit, we collect the fruits of it later, right, in our eternal life, which is like the most important life, because everything that is material is going to stay here, right? Everything that is material will be destroyed.
Yes.
But our spirit is immortal. So the things that we do to feed our spirit and to make our spirit grow are only the things that are the only things that we are actually going to take with us.
That's true. And I think there's something else then we can probably bring to the table here, which is a lot of times we are seeking for things that other people already found. So instead of being humble and try to understand how they got what they have, what was their path, how did they do it, what they didn't do, and what they did. Instead of doing this, we just throw a bunch of vices, envy, and all of those, trying to, compensate for the fact that I'm still seeking and that person has found. And that's horrible, because it will set a very slow pace on this journey that we are, to a point that we can stale. So
yes,
we should use them as examples of how to get there. And, the biggest of them being Jesus, but we usually don't do this. We usually use that against ourselves.
Yes. Yeah, it's true. It's true. And many times people don't recognize the hard work those people had to do. Yes, this is an amazing actor, or is an amazing artist, or is a CEO of a company, but everybody has to start from somewhere. And even if they are, imagine, an amazing musician, but we don't understand the hard labor they have to practice 8 hours a day to continue being good, not amazing. Amazing is because if they already have this inner talent, but they have to practice 8 hours a day to continue with the speed, with the fingers, or whatever. and we don't see it. We just see like, yeah, sure, but he was lucky because he went to a special school, or his father could pay for this. We see other things, and then that's what you said, Luis. We develop like an envy. I can't do that. And
and we can also look at this from another angle, which is, let's say you're a little kid, for example, 4 or 5 years old, and for whatever reason, you want to be a doctor. I want to be a doctor. When I grow up, I want to be a doctor. So you're 4 or 5, so you don't know what it takes to be a doctor. So that's your desire. That's what you're really asking for. But you don't know where you are. You don't know what it takes. Morally, it's the same thing. So we are asking for things that we are not in a position to acquire yet. We would have to run first, before anything, we would have to run our inventory of beliefs to see what I believe, and is that compatible with this particular thing that I want. I want to be like Jesus. So I'm going to sleep tonight, tomorrow morning I expect to wake up as him. Is it reasonable? Am I in a position? Where am I? Am I at the bottom of the scale, impure spirits, or am I superior, almost getting there, higher order spirits? So you see, we don't know usually where we are, and we ask for the best thing ever. So that's a tremendous, tremendous internal conflict. So when the answer doesn't come, we don't like it. And because we are not doing properly our inventory of beliefs. So I still believe, for example, I know that we are immortal spirits, but I don't do things as if I were one. So that has to be looked at and analyzed before we do anything for ourselves. Otherwise, we are conflicting, generating conflicts internally.
And Kelly, what do you think we can do? Because Spiritism helps us in so many ways, gives us so many tools to avoid this negativity from others, and sometimes from ourselves too, because sometimes we produce our own problems. Mm-hmm. So as Luis just mentioned, that we throw this envy towards others because we don't understand. What can we do to improve ourselves, to protect ourselves, and stop being so envious? Or, different question, if someone is envious of us, how can we protect ourselves? What can we do?
I think it's watch and pray, right? We have to watch our thoughts always, constantly. And when we catch ourselves either sending bad thoughts or receiving bad thoughts, we have to pray, and we have to connect with the good spirits and transform it, right? Transform it.
Exactly. This is true. So we know that the Spiritism helps us in so many ways, help us to understand the prayers. That's why we don't have to have anything memorized. We can talk from our heart, and we can talk directly to God or to the enlightened spirits. And but then comes back to what we were saying in the beginning. We have to know what to ask, because we can't be asking, oh God, I feel that someone is envious of me. I don't like that person either. Protect me.
Take that person away from my life.
Like this? How is this a good prayer?
Right, and that person is like your mother sometimes. You can't.
Exactly. If what I seek and what I find are not in sync, the problem is not God. Mm-hmm. The problem is me. I'm out of sync with what? Divinity, with the higher realms. I am out of sync. So, we ask for things that will not happen just because I'm not understanding. You see, when we align knowledge and belief, first believe that we can do it, that it's possible, we have the power to do it, of course, doing it right, and the knowledge on everything that we're discussing so far, when we align those two, it's very unlikely that we are going to take a wrong turn.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So
very likely that we're going to be on a straight path.
When we understand Spiritism, when we understand how to better connect, even our prayers are better aligned. We are not going to be praying, oh, please protect me from the envy of that person. We are going to be praying like, Please, God, help me to be a better person, to connect with the enlightened energy so I can help others in need. But other things Spiritism also offer, we have the blessing of the healing passes. And of course, lots of Spiritist centers are closed now, but we understand that the healing passes don't need to be right there. Like we did a prayer. We are in different cities, and we can feel the positive energy. So this healing passes also can happen at a distance. And the gospel at home that we study in our home with our family, this also brings positive energies. There are so many tools that Spiritism gives to us. We have to take advantage of it. Yeah. One of the tools is here online, Kardec Radio, so we can continue learning and spreading. Like we have like Yvonne. Yvonne is in Pennsylvania. I think you're in Pennsylvania, aren't you, Yvonne? And Teresa, which city are you? I never remember. I always forget. We also have Carlos. Hello, Carlos. Tell us from which city you are watching us. So all these beautiful items that Spiritism gives to us, so we have to use. Oh, Vermont. Yes, Teresa, you're in Vermont. Very, very good.
That's cold.
Yes. Ooh, I'm complaining about New York. I'm just, oh my God, Vermont. That's even tougher.
Teresa was the best. She used to drive every Sunday all the way to New York City to go to the center. Every Sunday, all the way from Vermont.
Yes. Now
6 hours.
Teresa is an inspiration, because when I moved here, Teresa was the first person who told me, Angie, you have to do something online so I can continue following. I'm like, wow, that's a good idea. We are almost finished. So let's talk about the last portion. The last portion is do not wear yourself out for the possession of a gold. So we also talked about it, but it's interesting. One of the comments that I like to mention here is that first of all, we are going to talk about the possessions of gold. You both already mentioned, but it's good to mention again. But there is another portion that number 11, that talks about the patriarchal customs of the East in that time. So in the time of Jesus, there were very few travelers. There were no airplanes. It was very, very difficult to travel. No cars. So you have to walk, or you have to have an animal for miles, forget days. So the customs of that time is like, whatever visitor arrive, you will open your tent and welcome. Nowadays, it's not like that. But Kardec in the 1800s, he mentions here, he says that, but if Jesus were to return today, he would no longer be able to tell the disciples, set out without any provisions, because it wouldn't be the same environment, the same customs. So what can we talk?
Well, I think, that's just the pandemic itself in the last 2 years or so caused a tremendous change throughout humanity of different kinds. So we did things in one way 2 or 3 years ago. We have to do different things now. So we had to kind of reinvent ourselves. And a lot of the things that we were asking for 3 years ago do not apply anymore. Mm-hmm. So we were asking for something that was not really going to help us. Mm-hmm. We thought, when the pandemic came, well, now what do I do? So I don't have any provisions anymore. We do. We just have to look at, the treasures along the way. And we usually don't. Because as third order spirits, we look at the bad things first. And we don't find any bad things, and we look at the good. And of course, that's what a third order spirit is. That's what we are. So I think the pandemic, with all the unfortunate death and everything, it was kind of a necessary evil for us to change our ways and understand that we can still go ahead and do a lot with much less, because we are going to focus on different things. We have to focus on family, on people in general, relationships, anything like that.
It's true, to give value to what is really important. What is really important, because no money in the world can buy you health.
Yeah, and that's what you just said, the treasure and the heart. So we had change of hearts because our treasure changed.
Yes, yes, very true, very true. So Mark is saying, normally I'm in North Carolina, Sacramento. Oh, you're in North Carolina.
California.
Yeah. Kellen is very close. South Carolina.
He's in California.
Sacramento, California. Yeah, I'm in with Carolina in my mind. But right now I'm in Jaco, Costa Rica. Wow. Very nice. Costa Rica. Wow, look at you. Yes, very, very good, my friends. It's a the pandemic time changed the life of everybody, and we learned how to really value what is important, how a hug and a kiss, it was so important. And we, especially us Brazilians, this is so common, like mwah, 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 mwah. And when now it's forbidden, and we're like, oh my God, it's forbidden. But it's like God gave us intelligence so we can reinvent ourselves, and through technology we were able to develop even more, and so many other things. And as you said, Luis, yes, terrible things happened. So many people discarnated, but things had to happen for a reason that we don't understand. But it was almost like God telling everybody, now you have to stop. You have to stop, and you have to think. What are you doing wrong? What should you improve? How can we do things in a different way? So this was a tough lesson that we had to learn. Very tough lesson. It's still tough lesson. But thank God that throughout the knowledge also we were able to develop vaccines and help a lot of people. But still lessons to learn, because we don't know. Maybe COVID is never going to leave us. We will have a new reality. We will have always to be checking our new reality. So go ahead.
Well, maybe we're almost done for the gospel, so I'm just going to say something. For most of us, the number one request is happiness. That's our number one request. Everybody wants it. It's on the top of the list for 7 billion of incarnates right here. And writer Greta Palmer, she has a phrase that I just love. She's not Spiritist, but she's a writer. She was a writer. She has a phrase that I love it. She says, happiness is a byproduct of an effort to make someone else happy.
It is beautiful.
I can ask for happiness, but I have to do something. I have to make somebody else happy, and that will come. So I have to compromise to what I've asked for. Yes. Otherwise, I'm going to ask anything that I ask. I'm going to be just sitting and waiting for a divine decree that's going to grant me what I asked for, and it won't be like that. That is against the law of progress and the law of work.
Yeah, it's true. And just to complement what you said, many years ago, I think 2014, I think, don't even remember, but many years ago, I left the Spiritist Center. It was winter, and long story short, I met a homeless person in New York, and it was so cold. He was outside the McDonald's, and that kind of snapped in my head, and I said, I need to do something to help them, because we learn in Spiritism, we have to be charitable. But a lot of people, they practice charity in a kind of detached way. They send checks to places, and I'm doing my part. but it's very different when we actually physically do it. And I remember I had the idea to create 10 bags to with many items to distribute to 10 homeless in Manhattan. And I think Kelly was with me actually. And I told Kelly, I'm going to do this. Would you help me to distribute the bags? And Kelly said, how many bags? And I said, I'm doing 10. And she said, I'm going to do 10 too. And I'm like, wow, that's nice. And from that, I decided to open up to the Spiritist Center. And a lot of people decided to join. And I believe this was in 2014. And we continued doing this in Inner Enlightenment for many years. And then I came here since the first year. I came to Miami. I did, and I still do it. Last year, even with pandemic, we made 405 bags for the homeless. And everybody that participated, not just the Spiritists, I have lots of neighbors that help me. They all mentioned the happiness from doing that, from packing, because everybody has to come to pack, from packing and then to giving the bag. It's more happiness than buying a new car. One person told me that, and I was like, wow. Because it is this true loving energy, because we receive much more than what we give. You know, we're giving a simple bag with a bunch of items, but that person that, you know, they are the unseen. When you go and say, oh, this is a gift for you, they are like, many of them are like, for me? And they were like, really? So it is so touching. And this is what the Spiritism teaches us. The happiness is not from material things. It's from acts of love that we practice and so much that we receive. So this was very beautiful. And it's a lesson to all of us,
It is, absolutely.
My friends, I love the gospel, but now we are going to what is Spiritism. This is a beautiful book that very few people read. Listen, my listeners, look, it's a very small book. It's actually a summary of the whole Spiritist philosophy. And it's really beautiful for us to understand how Kardec talks about it. So we are still in the first part of the book. Me and Louis, we actually discussed this specific book last week. You can go to Louis' program and you can see our conversation. Louis, what's the name of your program again?
It's Spiritism, A Closer Look.
Very good. So you can just look, Spiritism, A Closer Look, and then we discussed this book in his program last week. So in the portion that we are right now, Kardec created like a conversational way. So he creates like questions, like people that actually ask him questions. So he summarizes in a bunch of questions and then he answers in more detail. So it's good for us to understand. To the ones that are not Spiritists, they can learn. And to the ones who are Spiritists, we can learn how Kardec thought, how he actually explained the items in details. So I'm going to share the screen with you all so you can see our screen here. So we are going to be discussing this point tonight, is the elements of conviction. So we are going to read and then we are going to comment at the end. So I summarize so we have more time. So we can read just the pink items, but if anyone would like to read the book, let me know. I can forward you the PDF or the link to purchase it. So, Kelly, would you be able to start reading for us?
Please? Sure. Do you want me to read just the pink or the whole thing?
Yeah, just the pink, because we have 15 minutes and we need to comment.
Okay. Right. It is precisely the reality of these phenomena that many people dispute, and you should not find it surprising that they would like to witness them.
So this was the question. This is like a summary of the question. So this person is actually talking about the manifestations, the matter of the manifestations.
Right.
So he's asking Kardec. So is the reality of this phenomenon that I want to know about. So let's see what Kardec answers.
I do think that is quite natural. However, I will explain what conditions are best for observing the phenomena and especially for understanding them. You will also agree, sir, that it would be strange indeed if a rational philosophy had emerged from illusory and fabricated occurrences. Every day we accept astronomical calculations without having made them ourselves. The elements of conviction are not the same for everyone. But it is wrong to believe that physical experiences are the only means of convincing someone. I have seen persons unmoved by the most remarkable phenomena, but convinced by a simple written response. If we do understand it, however, we accept it more easily, because it has a reason for being, and the extraordinary and supernatural vanish. There are two aspects to Spiritism: the experimental part, involving the manifestations, and the philosophical doctrine. The phenomena involving the manifestations is secondary. The foundation is the doctrine, the science. If there were no manifestations at all, the Spiritist doctrine would not nonetheless be the one that best resolves a multitude of problems thought unsolvable.
Okay, very good. So, what can we talk about this portion here? He's trying to explain to this person that the manifestations, meaning the mediumistic meetings, they are important, but there are certain items that are necessary to participate. And he's also mentioning, like here, it's wrong to believe that physical experience are the only means of convincing someone. So he's trying to say, don't think that everybody that sees a mediumship meeting, participates of it, will say, now I believe, because it's not true. So what do you guys want to talk about it? What else can we add to the people to understand why some people do not believe in the physical manifestations, in the mediumistic meetings, in the mediumship per se, and how they could start their process of understanding it, not believing, but understanding it.
Yeah, I think it has to do a lot with what I call spiritual maturity, which is how far am I down the road, spiritually speaking, morally speaking, that I can pick up, the process and learn from it. Because when you don't know enough, you don't pick up so much. It's like reading one of the Spiritist books, for example. Every time we learn, we pick more because you have more knowledge. You have a broader view now. And then you read a second time, you pick up more. Third time, pick up even more because there are several layers. And I think these people who bluntly or flatly denied everything and wrote to Kardec, you're crazy and so, of course, they're not ready for any of that. They are too far back compared to what Kardec is trying to bring. It will take them time. It will take them they have to build a spiritual maturity to get to the point where they read the Spirit's book and to say the minimum, they say, let me think about this. These people, especially the diehard ones in regards to the old belief systems, they would just flatly say, this is bad news. This is not good. Just throw it out, burn the book, send to Barcelona to get burned. And because they're not ready. And by the way, it has to be respected. We can't try to throw Spiritism, down the throat of somebody because it's not going to help them. It's going to make it worse.
Exactly. Let me just read a comment before we go. So Claudia said, Jesus said we need to be reborn. Did he mean learning how to live after 2 years of isolation? So she's commenting from the previous part. So Jesus said that we need to be reborn. Did he mean learning how to live after 2 years of isolation? Yes, Claudia, we are all learning. We are in the constant process of learning. We are readapting ourselves. So things that we used not to do nowadays are common. For example, in my company, my job, we had to be every day in the office forever. And if you needed to work from home, had to be some exception that had to be approved by 3 different people. It was like a whole process. Nowadays, it was already mentioned to everyone in the company. Even whenever COVID finished, we will only work from the office twice a week. So who imagined this was going to happen? It's like, what? So this is only one example. We are always reinventing ourselves, and it's good. It's good. Everything bad happens for a reason, but there are beautiful things that flourish from it, and COVID is one of those examples. So coming back now to our second book about the mediumistic phenomenon. You are totally right, Louis, especially about not forcing anyone to believe because they are not prepared. Jesus himself told the disciples, don't go to throw seeds in the infertile soil because right now you are not prepared. He knew other people, Paul Tarsus was coming later on to talk to the Gentiles, to the Romans, to the Greeks. And, the same thing with us. We are, how I can say, we are more prepared for this. We are more open-minded. Maybe in a previous life, we were already some kind of a spiritualist, or we are born with mediumship. So you have to believe because you are the medium. So there are many things that we can talk about it. So Kelly, what would you tell to a person that comes to you and tells you, Kelly, you are such a nice girl. You are so intelligent. I can't believe you are really studying this thing of spiritism. Why? This is a question that comes to me a lot through my family. You have no idea.
You hear that? Well, I come from a spiritist family, so I never really got that from my family. What?
You are lucky.
I'm lucky, but listen, I'm vegan, so I understand.
Oh yeah.
I understand the questions, but I think it's interesting, and I feel like Kardec almost makes it feel like a secret club, right? Like the mediumistic side of it, the phenomena, it's like a secret club, and it's not. But when a person comes to a spiritist center and they are suffering because somebody discarnated, and they want answers and they want communication, right? Are they prepared to receive a communication if they don't know how the person who discarnated is feeling, right? What if they get a message from a person who's hurting? Are they going to have the maturity to take this message? That only comes with studying, right? And that's why we study so much to prepare, right? So we can face what's to come, right?
Exactly. This is also one of the items that Kardec mentioned. Kardec mentioned that there are the people that are natural, like Louis also was talking about, that are the ones that are more natural, it's easier for them to accept this phenomena, for example, and spiritism per se. Mm-hmm. There are others that are old-fashioned. They are still the cement wall is still separating them, and they want to burn our books in Barcelona like it was done in the past to Kardec. And but as you both said, and Kardec mentions too, throughout the doctrine, throughout the philosophy, studying to learn how it happens, why it happens, and then the people start understanding and opening this door to actually accepting it. So Yes, that's the important part for us to understand. Understanding is more important than actually seeing a phenomenon. I am a medium, and when my mediumism started, my own mom, I told my mom, and this was happening for a few days already. And I was trying not to tell her, and one day it was so intense, and I said, "Mom, I'm seeing spirits." And she said, "Oh my God, no!" And I said, "Yeah, it's happening for quite a few days." And then she said, "Oh, this is crazy." And I said, "But Mom, I'm not crazy. I actually talk to them." "Oh no, this is really bad. Now we need to find a psychiatrist because that's what they all say." And I said, "They all who there?" And I'm like, I can't talk to my mom about this anymore. That's it. Was the last time I talked about spirits to my mom. So let's just finalize this little tiny portion. It's just this little end here. Louis, could you read for us, please?
Okay, you are right in saying that the turning tables gave rise to a philosophical doctrine. I can now see how vast the field opened up by your system is. You accord me way too much honor by attributing the system to me, because it is not mine. It has been deduced in full from the Spirit's teaching. I only saw, observed, and coordinated, and I am now trying to help others understand what I myself do.
So, just interrupting you. So, to the ones that are listening, the visitor is actually telling Kardec that he admires the turning table movement that happened in that time in France, and it brought the philosophical doctrine. And he's saying that he can see your system. He's telling Kardec, whatever you invented, whatever you created is awesome.
Yeah, so, he's attributing to the man, Allan Kardec. Yeah.
Exactly. So Kardec is like, hey, my friend, wait a minute. So let's see what else he's going to answer.
They say the philosophy of Plato, Descartes, and Leibniz. They do not say the doctrine of Allan Kardec. Nobody ever did, by the way. Spiritism has vastly superior auxiliaries, next to whom we are but atoms.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think Kardec was very, very firm in his belief that, when he opened the Spiritist Society, the Parisian Spirit Society, the original documents, he wrote, and they all signed, he wrote, if you're here to saw manifestations and spirits, go away because you're in the wrong place. This is not a place for that. This is a place to study philosophy. So he was very clear from day one that the phenomena is totally secondary, like he just said in the book.
Yes, exactly. That's great. The phenomena is secondary. The moral portion is the most important thing. And in this part too, Kardec was always doing things to demonstrate this is not mine. This is from the spirits. Yeah. I'm just organizing it. And then he mentions the philosophy of Plato, Descartes, and Leibniz, but they actually developed some kind of line of thought. They created that. Kardec was always saying the spirits brought it, and he organized it. And by the way, he's an amazing organizer.
Yeah, he never claimed credit for any of that.
Yes, exactly. Can you imagine, like in the 1800s, without computers, he had to travel like days, weeks to arrive in the Spiritist Center, like you, Louis. I remember you were already living in Orlando. You traveled to conscious living in Miami to give a lecture. And you know how many of us do it? But nowadays, it's like fast. It's easy. Imagine in the time of Kardec.
Yeah, he had no computers, no copy and paste.
Exactly.
Light from candles and no typewriter.
Exactly. So it's beautiful. And by the way, my friends, if you haven't seen the movie Kardec, please, it's on Netflix. It's easy. Go to see it because it's really, really beautiful. Really beautiful. Kelly, do you want to say anything else before because me and Louis were like,
No, I'm listening. I'm a great listener. I'm learning.
Yes. So we learn also when we listen. And to all of you, the phenomena of mediumship is beautiful, but it's very sacred. So it has to be practiced by people that have knowledge. They understand how to deal with it. It's not an element of curiosity. We know that the people that just arrive in the Spiritist Center, that's what they want to do. Lots of them, they come to me and say, where can I see a spirit?
Or even better, when can I start receiving the spirits?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
what can I do to be a medium?
Exactly. We know it's not exactly like that. But if you decide to study, if you decide to understand, you will see how beautiful it is. And maybe, who knows, you are actually going to join a mediumistic meeting, and you will be able to observe and understand it even better. So it's great. My friends, it was beautiful. As I always say, 1 hour flies. It's like
time flies.
Goes really quickly. It was awesome. Thank you so much to have your presence here. Thank you, Louis. It was great. We have to do it again.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
And Kelly, it was awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's
Thank you for
repeat.
inviting me.
Very good. So all of you that were with us or are listening to this in a recorded version, it was great. Thank you so much. Join us again every month, the first Thursday of the month at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And if you want to also participate of our studies of Mia InnerLight, we also meet online on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And as I mentioned, go to check out the program of Louis. We have too many good things to offer. And Kardec Radio is here to help us. Kelly, you need to have a program. Come on, work on it. Thank you, everybody. Have a great week. Bye-bye. Thank you so much. Have a great night.